Hi, I'm your host, Larry Smith, and you're listening to Speak Out Podcast, a community outreach of the Lawrence County Career Technical Center in Moulton, Alabama. Today, my co-host is Creighton Bowling. Creighton's a senior at East Lawrence High School and a student in Mr. Posey's agri-science classes. Creighton's also a member of the ELHS FFA chapter, where he serves as treasurer.
Hi, Larry. It's great to be here.
Well, Speak Out Podcast today is we're coming to you from the Alabama Center for the Arts in Decatur, Alabama, and this is our third podcast in a series that will allow us to hear from faculty and staff at Calhoun Community College, Athens State University, and the Alabama Center for the Arts. Joining us today for this segment are Chris Vrenna, Head of Music Technology and Music Technology Instructor at Calhoun Community College, Jordan Davis, a technician at the Alabama Center for the Arts, and Dr. Matt Letter, show band director and music instructor at Calhoun Community College. And let's start with you, Mr. Vrenna. Could you tell us about your background and how you came to the Alabama Center for the Arts?
Sure, and happy to be here. I'm a drummer. I started playing drums when I was 6 years old. I've been a musician my whole life. Had a 30-plus year career in the music industry. Started a band called Nine Inch Nails with some other people back in the 80s, and had a very cool, wonderful, awesome career. In 2013, I did a radical reset on my life and decided to get into education. And so I've been teaching at the college level now for the last decade. And I got to the ACA 5 years ago. Simply because they were looking for faculty and I was looking for a job, and the fit was perfect. So here I am.
And you may have said this a while ago and I missed it, but where are you from?
I'm originally from Pennsylvania. Erie, PA is where I grew up. Nine Inch Nails, we got started out of Cleveland, Ohio, but this is the 8th state I've now lived in my life. So
cool.
I move around quite a bit.
All right, so this question's for Jordan. Tell us about your education prior to coming to ACA to work.
Okay, so I'm a Huntsville native. I graduated from Sparkman High School, and I've always had a love for music. And I did my freshman year at Alabama A&M and under a band scholarship. Really liked the music, but I wanted to study studio production or do something like that. And the closest thing they had to that at the time was like broadcasting engineer type studies. And I left A&M. This is before I knew of Calhoun and the ACA and the music tech program that they have. And I went to Nashville and I studied music production there at the Art Institute. And left the Art Institute and got to Huntsville and started working in my career as a live sound engineer. And I learned about ACA and Calhoun and jumped in and haven't left.
Still here.
Still here.
Dr. Letter, could you tell us more about your role here at ACA?
So I'm brand new faculty, just started this past August. And I'm ultimately here to help students succeed. I'm working on curriculum. We're developing some more opportunities in the music area. I'm working on the curriculum there. I also direct the brand new Calhoun Community College show band, and we're making quite a splash in the community. We just performed at the Decatur Mardi Gras Parade. We just did an athletic event. We had Jason Marcellus on campus in October. We're hitting the ground running, and furthermore, I'm also trying to develop more opportunities for students. And in that regard, we just were approved 30 full scholarships for the Calhoun Community College show band that starts this upcoming fall. So that's a great opportunity there. I teach applied lessons. I direct the show band, and again, work on some administrative things and teach music appreciation as well.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so Mr. Vrenna, tell us what your students do in class at AC.
Well, my area of specialty is music technology, and people always ask, well, what is music technology? And he's the guy on the side of the glass performing, I'm the guy on the side of the glass mixing and recording the whole thing. Did I say you were performing? Mm-hmm. Man, okay. Making sure I talk right here. Wow, hey. It's been one of those weeks, folks. So we in music technology we focus on miking of instruments, recording, proper record levels, mixing, Sound effects, sound design. We have our own Foley stage to do live Foley effects for multimedia students. Anything that has to do with the creation of audio. So in class, students are always either recording something or mixing something or editing something. We have very specific software that is used in the music industry that the students must learn if they're going to succeed and get jobs out there in the real world. So.
And one of the software would be Pro Tools.
That is the piece of software. Yeah, we call it the Microsoft Office of audio because it's there's a lot of great software, and all software does basically the same thing. It's just Pro Tools invented digital recording. Pro Tools has been around since 1991, and I've been using it since 1991. But it's just the one that every studio has. So it's the one, if you're going to go to a professional studio in any major city or get into post-production, that's the one you got to know.
Well, and y'all have a couple of recording studios here, I think, right?
Gotcha. Oh, cool.
So, Jordan, if you have a typical day here, if you could have a typical day here, what would it look like?
Most of my days are atypical. But a typical day, usually, I'm the technician here, so I'm responsible for a lot of the technical aspects of the productions and events and plays. And so usually it's working on pulling gear, getting pre-production things taken care of, and making sure cables are in place, meeting with technical directors, theater directors, and just kind of figuring out what they need for any given event. Also, we'll help out on some recordings. We have recording studios in the space, so typical, anything tech related. That's a hard one to just give a straight and narrow, but usually some type of tech work, event planning.
Whatever's needed, and I guess you have to kind of learn how to do everything a little bit about it. How to do everything here. Yeah.
So mainly for me, my role is typically covering the audio side of things. So, but there are times when I'll be needed in lights or. But usually it's audio. So whether that's live sound, doing the actual live events, or doing something where it's like recording sessions and even editing audio and post productions.
Okay.
And occasionally some video elements.
Cool.
Okay. So, Dr. Letter, what careers are available with a course of study in music?
I'm going to tell you this, that most people, the perception of careers in music, you've got education and you got performance. But there's a lot of stuff in between that people don't talk about. A lot of times when we go to a concert, for instance, if you went to a Nine Inch Nails concert, you went to Carrie Underwood, there are a lot of people behind the scenes. A lot of times when we go to the concert, enjoy the show. We pull the curtain back and enjoy the show. Don't even think about it. But there's a concert promoter there. There are people that are stage handling, stage management. There's folks that, the people that make all the gear, the product, the mic cables, the speakers, all of that, the people that deal, there's music that there's lawsuits that happen occasionally. So there's some people that will become lawyers that specialize in copyright and such. There are historians, there's musicologists, there's a lot of different careers in music that people don't necessarily know. And then the educational piece, I always tell students that no matter what field that you're going to do in music, you will teach at some point. I remember I'm a professional trumpet player. I thought I would never teach it. Here I am. But when people come up to you and ask a question and say, well, you're really good at that. I'll pay you $60 if you sit down for an hour and show me some things. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. And then it's going to end up somebody else is going to do the same thing. And that kind of expands from there. So in teaching, you could think about, teaching online. A lot during COVID, a lot of people started teaching online. I've been teaching online for 10 years or so. And so you can teach in a private sense. You can teach in the public school. You can teach in higher ed. You could put together your own studios and things. And that the teaching aspect is there. And in terms of performance, I'm real big on preaching the versatility. You can major in John Coltrane, but you better be ready to play with Britney Spears. So you have to be able to be versatile, or you're not going to work. And so I try to preach that. And I think that we're in a time period in any profession that you have to wear a multitude of hats in order to be successful. So what I mean by that is you may be a performer, but you may also have the skill sets of recording, or you may have the skill sets of management, all these things that put together to piece together that living.
And these things are all things that you would cover with someone coming through the program.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, and again, when I said to serve the students, I think we want to get them from point A to point B. It's one thing to study something for the enjoyment of it, but we ultimately want to see our students succeed. We want them to have J-O-B, J-O-B, jobs. We want them to have income and be able to support themselves. And I think that's being real. I think our faculty is real and sincere with their efforts to ensure that happens, that student success happens.
Well, and so, Mr. Vrenna, parents are always encouraging their children to pursue courses of study where they can support themselves as adults. Can students that have an interest in the arts realistically make a living pursuing that interest?
Absolutely. I think one positive thing that came out of COVID was I think people got an appreciation for the arts again. I think it had slipped away. STEAM turned into STEM, and like what happened to the A? But you're stuck in a house for 2 years, and what did we all do? Dust off that acoustic guitar that grandma got you when you wanted to learn guitar, or you watched too many Bob Ross shows and tried to teach yourself how to paint, or you binge watched everything Netflix had to offer. There's thousands of jobs that make every one of those TV shows and movies a possibility. Right. So. It's definitely got a bit more respect now than it may have in the past, but it absolutely is. I think the public gets fooled because they just see like the top half of 1%, and they're like, well, if you can't be Taylor Swift or this rapper, it's like, well, that's all they see, so they don't think about all like what Matt said, like just there's thousands upon thousands of jobs. They only see that one famous person and go, well, if you can't be that famous person, then there's no other career. That's it.
And so coming over here like to ACA, that kind of like opens up this whole world of possibilities that perhaps someone may never have even imagined or dreamed that there were all these possibilities.
Exactly. And that's a lot of times it's taking the blinders off of things, and the one thing though about all the arts in general is you have to be incredibly self-motivated. It's not a typical job, when you go into doing someone's taxes or whatever. It's you have to put the work in yourself to practice your instrument, to practice getting good at things, and to applying it in a creative way. And the only way to do that is to exercise your own creativity on a constant basis. I always equate it with my students. It's like going to the gym. Your brain is a gym, is not a gym. It's a muscle, So you got to exercise that creativity, and if you don't keep doing it, it starts atrophying compared to your analytical side. So,
exactly.
But you have to be a self-starter in this industry. A lot of it is freelance, Again, like what Matt said, he's like you do a little bit of all this from all these other places and stuff, and and that is very true. So being able to time manage and not just be good at whatever your instrument or your particular skill that you want to go into is, but
I think I piggyback too. I think all of our faculty, we're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk. I mean, we've all been there. We're making a living doing this right now. A lot of us are still performing. We're still writing. We're still recording. We're doing things. We're not just talking about it. We're doing it. Well, so we can be real sincere and honest and say, hey, this is how you do this.
Yeah, and I think you guys have made a really good point here, because the better that you get at whatever it is that you want to do in anything, in any line of work, and especially in the arts, is you want to have your chops up, because you need to have the chops up and be good and practiced and well knowledgeable before you can be completely creative and expressive.
There's a saying, you have to be prepared for opportunity.
Right. Isn't that the definition of luck?
Yeah.
It's like
that's right.
Right. It's You know, it's preparation plus time or
That's
something
right.
like that, or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, everything like we're not. What we do in the arts isn't theoretical. It's very practical and very hands-on. It just, you know, you can't watch YouTube videos and think you're going to be a good trumpet player or a good drummer or what, you know, it just doesn't work that way. And so having the formal education and learning it the right way and trying to make yourself better at all aspects of our industry is what students get here.
Well, and I'm probably going way off the track here because these things are just coming to me and all this. But you're talking about STEM and STEAM, and they took the A out. But really, though, you know, for someone pursuing a career in digital technology, you know, having a knowledge of math or having, you know, maybe a basis of math and science and all would be helpful, you know, in those as well.
I always say it's like, you know, it's even like scientists are incredibly creative people. How do you come up with a cure for COVID?
Exactly.
You got to use your creative mind. So not supporting a young creative mind at a young age during development will hurt you in the future because you won't, I'm going to be a biochemist and cure cancer. Well, not if you don't have any creativity or not, because you can't memorize that out of a textbook. You got to invent it. Like, I hope somebody out there does someday. But you know, but that's using creativity, but applying it to a scientific, you know, endeavor. But it's still a creative endeavor. So, like I said, like you still have to exercise that half of the brain, regardless of what field you're going into.
Right.
You know.
All right. Jordan, how has technology opened opportunities for students of the arts?
I think it's increased opportunities. So, you know, we have soundboards. We're talking into a microphone right now, and that microphone plugs into something. So over the years, soundboards, they change year after year. We have digital soundboards now where you can save mixes, you can recall mixes. All of these are because of technology advancing throughout the years. So I think it increases opportunity. There's more learning curves dealing with audio and all of the equipment and the tools that we work with. So definitely increase opportunities and all of the venues. And just to kind of piggyback on what Chris was saying about the job opportunities, all of the venues and places where you would typically go for concerts, their technology is changing every year. So only increasing the opportunity for more younger engineers.
Okay. That's cool.
Dr. Letter, what are the characteristics of the best students in your program?
Well, I think that stems from the students that are passionate about what they're doing, and those students that are curious. You got to be. I always tell students that education is not a marathon; it's a journey. You got to enjoy it. We all work at different speeds to learn something, and the students are some of my better students. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get to succeed. And I think that curiosity is what stems. To have a career in music. There's no plan B. This is it. It's all chips in, and you have to commit to this because jobs are hard in any profession, but this is an extremely difficult field. But if you're committed to it, and I tell students, even in my music appreciation class, if you're passionate about heating and air or welding, I'm convinced you're going to be successful in that field. Right. So life is too short. Find something that you're passionate about and chase after it. Exactly. And if the arts or music is something that you're interested in, come to Calhoun, check us out. We're going to help you succeed. It goes beyond the token of I'm a teacher showing you something. I look at it as a sense of mentorship. I've got students that call me that I've had them 10 years ago. They still call me, and I'll pick up the phone. Mentorship goes beyond the classroom, and that's the commitment that happens here at the ACA.
Awesome.
All right. Mr. Verena, please tell us about the project.
The project was started, we're in our fifth year now, I think, something like that. Is it the fifth year?
Maybe.
Where it's for high school students, rising sophomore, rising junior, rising senior, that they can apply to have it's a 2-week arts camp that happens in the mid-June of every summer. And each and it's a way for it's like a pathway program where young people can express their interest in the arts, and then they come to the ACA and they can kind of see how what they are passionate about can lead, can go to college and you can have a career and stuff. Each year, the project, we do one main overarching project. The first year was shadow puppet theater with life-size shadow puppets. Last year was dance, musical theater, dance, something, acting. It's been a few of them now. This year, it's music based. It's going to be, we're calling it School of Rock, and students are going to learn about the recording process, and some will come in as musicians, some will come in as technicians. They're also going to shoot a music video and do a live performance. We did stop motion. And one year we did where they had to do all the sound effects themselves as well, and learn how to edit film. And the year before that, we did short films. It was COVID year, so everybody made a short film. They had to make it from home, and we did everything via Zoom. So each year there's like a big project, but within that 2 weeks, you get a bunch of master classes from all the faculty. Will come in and do a 90-minute or 2 hour of what their specialty is. Even if it doesn't necessarily directly pertain to the big overarching finale for the second week. It gives them a taste. We've done screen printing and pottery and little bits of everything. So, and it's a fun way to spend 2 weeks out of the summer. We only can accept 25 students. And so students have to go through an application process to get accepted into the project. We've had several students come back multiple years. It's been definitely growing in its popularity since we started. But it's just a great fun way to explore the arts without the pressure of school, necessarily. It's like you're learning, but it's not there to, no one's getting graded. You're doing it for fun, and
Right.
It's a good way to share it with your family and friends and things like that.
Well, we're in a little bit of a crunch for time, so I'm going to move forward a little bit. But Dr. Letter, where would a student find support for academic or career counseling at ACA?
So I think there are various campus services all over and on various campuses that will help you do that. But here at the ACA, I'm a firm believer. I believe most of all the faculty have open door policies, and we're pretty hands on our students. So if they have a question with anything, whether that pertains to some registration or there's an issue, or they need to find, how do I get tutoring, or how do if I need some kind of pathway to success, we're going to help them find it. I mean, my door is open. I at the end of every semester, I try to make sure that students have registered for classes and that they're following the right path, to make sure to make sure that they're doing the right things.
Right. And I guess you guys probably, kind of keep up with where jobs might be, or possibilities for jobs.
Absolutely. You should walk around the ACA. There's flyers on the walls and the doors. I mean, you walk around, you see them up there right now. And we have bulletin boards. We'll put up things. I know there's a lot of, I was a military musician for 12 years, and I like to post some of those postings occasionally. So there are careers in there. You can use that as well.
Yes, we have one more question, and the question was addressed to Mr. Verena, but I think that I'd like to open it up for everyone if you have something you want to say.
What advice would you give to a young person who is interested in music or other areas of study in arts?
I'll start, but I think we all probably have something to close out with.
Exactly.
I will say practice and study. Be the best you can be. It is a lot of competition, and like we discussed, it's not as easy as just you get degree, go get job, based off resume. You have to be good, and you have to be a self-starter. And the more hats you can wear in our industry, Dr. Letter would mention something about lawyers and contracts and things like that. Understanding the business side as well as the performance side or the technical side. Just you need to be a sponge of the knowledge in order to be successful with it.
I think one thing too is also being prepared for the opportunities that may be presented in your life, but you also have to put yourself out there. You can be in the woodshed or the practice room, but if you don't go out and interact with other musicians or folks in the industry or rub elbows with those in the industry, it's not going to happen. And so you've got to kind of get out there, and that's one of the things. Going to school, you can associate with the faculty and form those relationships, and we all know the music industry or the arts is a relatively small field, and somebody knows somebody. That's what I've discovered over the years, and that's one of the things is just building those connections and getting out there. I try to take students out to jam sessions and out to just make them aware of all the opportunities just here in the local area, because that's how we learn. It goes beyond the classroom. It's not just the work that we do in that classroom. It's the stuff that happens when they leave a class or they go out into the community.
Okay.
Jordan.
To wrap things up, as cliche as it may sound, just follow your passion. When you follow things that you enjoy doing, it's so much easier to put in those hours. Working my side of things with the arts, you work long hours side by side. A lot of people working whether it's in studio. So being a kind person, being a good hang, that helps out a little bit. So, just be passionate, flexible, and work ethic. I just echo everything Dr. Letter has already said and Brenna's already said. So just thank you guys for having me.
Well, thank you guys for being our guests on Speak Out Podcast today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Speak Out Podcast, a community outreach of the Lawrence County Career Technical Center in Moulton, Alabama. I'm your host, Larry Smith, and I'd like to thank my co-host, Creighton Bowling, and our guests for this episode, Mr. Chris Brenna, Mr. Jordan Davis, and Dr. Matt Letter. Please check out our podcast on the Lawrence County Career Technical School website, and we hope that you'll join us for future episodes.